What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be looking at the cross compatibility of parts between the Tokyo Marui VSR-10 Pro Sniper versus the HFC VSR-11. Okay, so one of the questions that pops up quite a bit, or not quite a bit, but a few times that I have seen, is that the people are interested in the HFC VSR-11, which is a clone of the Tokyo Marui VSR-10 Pro Sniper, but they are concerned about the cross compatibility of parts. What a lot of people are concerned about is the HFC is cheaper, but it says since it's a clone of the Tokyo Marui, can it take the same parts and function the same way? So is it exactly the same essentially? That's what we're going to find out in this video. Okay, the first observation that we made was of the magazine. This is the HFC VSR-11 magazine. It was loaded with BBs and we were playing around with it, and when we first loaded it into the rifle it wouldn't feed all of the BBs. It would sometimes feed and sometimes just not load the BB up into the chamber for some reason, and we noticed it was because we wasn't loading the magazine hard enough into the rifle. Okay, with the Tokyo Maruis obviously we were just used to clicking the magazines in lightly. With these you have to physically use some force to push it up and make sure it's seated correctly, and it will eventually load all the BBs. Maybe even that we have used it quite a bit now, we've probably run it in so it's running smoothly, but at first we did notice some feeding issues, but that seems to have been gone away. One small observation that we made of the HFC VSR was that the bolt pull was slightly more clunky than the Tokyo Marui. This is not a deal breaker, it's only a very small clunk, okay? Obviously the Tokyo Marui is very smooth, very smooth, and this one is just not very hard to pull, but it's a little bit clunkier, okay? Also, obviously the bolt pull is slightly harder than the standard Tokyo Marui one because there is a stiffer spring. I believe we were getting 360 FPS, but we'll do a chronograph test of that in a minute. A problem that we had with the HFC VSR-11 when first receiving it was that the bolt handle would not fully return to its position, its home position, so that it would stop here and we couldn't actually put the bolt handle down. Under close inspection we noticed that it was actually this part here. If you see the gold part there, that's actually the magazine normally sits here and it feeds BBs upwards into that position there. If I just move the gold nozzle out the way, you can see that there is a plastic part moving slightly. That is spring loaded, and I believe that's to hold the BB in place to allow the nozzle to interact it and push it forward into the hop-up rubber. That plastic piece where it's spring loaded, it was actually coming out too much and blocking the way of the nozzle, thus stopping the bolt from returning fully, okay? Just by chance, we accidentally slammed the bolt forward, and that seemed to have cured the problem. It seemed to have smoothed off the area which was protruding too much and obstructing. It must have been just a little bit, because after that happened, it seems to have cured the problem, okay? We're now going to fit the HFC VSR-11 into the Tokyo Marui stock and see if it fits. And the answer is yes, it does. It fits perfectly. This is good to know because there are some aftermarket stocks for the Tokyo Marui VSR-10, and since it fits perfectly, it will also fit the HFC VSR-11 too. The rifle that we received did have a rail attached, okay? We were quite surprised about that. We thought it was just going to have a rear sight, an adjustable rear sight on here, but ours actually came with a rail, okay? We're not sure if they do different models, some that come with the sight and some that come with the rail, so it's best to, if you're going to buy the HFC rifle, it's best to make sure and ask the store you're buying it from whether it comes with the rail or the rear sight, just to make sure you don't have to buy it as an optional extra, as with the Tokyo Maruis, they are optional extras which you have to pay for. Okay, we're now going to do a chrono test of the HFC VSR-11. For this test we're going to be using Tokyo Marui 0.2 gram perfect hit BBs, and they're going to be loaded into the HFC magazine. Okay, we have loaded them using the free BB loader, speed loader that it comes with. Okay, here we go. All right. 360, 368, 371, 377, and 363. Okay, we're now going to transfer all of the parts from the Tokyo Marui VSR-10 into the HFC VSR-11 just to see if it is completely 100% compatible with parts. This Tokyo Marui rifle has been completely upgraded using Action Army internals. Okay, absolutely everything has been upgraded pretty much. Internally wise, the only thing I believe it does not have are barrel spacers. Okay, but we're going to do that now and see if everything fits. Okay, so the first hurdle that I have just hit was installing the Action Army hop-up chamber and removing the original HFC hop-up chamber. As you can see, there is a hole here which has been machined out. That's for a screw to go through, but when they machined it, they didn't really clean off the edges. HFC left quite a few burrs and should I say shrapnel or pieces of loose metal in there. So removing the original hop-up chamber was quite difficult. It would jam on that part. What I had to do was try and tidy it up a little bit, use some files and take off all the burred edges and all the loose metal. Once I did that, the hop-up chamber could just slide in, the HFC one, the Action Army one. It wasn't really a problem, it's just something you need to know. Okay, so if you are upgrading yours, do note that there may be some rough machined edges that jam on parts. Make sure you clean those up before you install anything, otherwise it will scratch your parts. Those of you who own the HFC VSR-11 may want to clean your rifle throughout, as there is this very thick grease from the factory. It's actually overloaded with grease, okay, and some of it was even down the hop-up unit and inside the inner barrel as well, so cleaning it may be a good thing. Right, I'm just going to do a quick compression test while everything is apart. Just going to pull the piston back, put my hand over the nozzle and release it. And there seems to be no compression whatsoever. Let's try that again. Nope, no compression, which is strange. Okay, moving on. Okay, so I've improved the air sealing a little bit by stretching the internal original O-ring. All I did was remove the cylinder head there. For those of you that don't know, all I normally do is just wedge an Allen key or a hex wrench into one of the holes. Cover that up with a hard piece of plastic so you don't scratch it, and all I do is just put this spanner over here like that, tighten it up, make sure you have the plastic on first so you don't scratch it. I'm just doing this to show you guys, and you basically just twist it that way and it can come off. Okay, yours may be slightly harder to get off because they normally come with some red Loctite on them. Okay, right, and what I've done is just stretch the O-ring of the piston's O-ring, sorry. So all I did was take the O-ring off, fit it over this tube here and leave it for a little while, lubing it and rubbing it, giving it, making sure that it can expand a little bit, and this is what happened after I've done that. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick compression test. There we go, and when I release, it shoots forward. Okay, so that's helped a little bit with it. Not a perfect seal, but it has helped over the original, over how it was originally. You see it's still slipping now, there's still air escaping, but it's much better. We've just finished installing all the Action Army internals into this gun, and also we have installed the Tokyo Marui stock onto here as well, and there are just a couple of things that we need to say. First of all, the inner barrel, make sure the end cap is tight. The inner barrel rattles inside the outer barrel. We'll just quickly show you that. Okay, that's not to worry though, this can be fixed easily, we believe, using some barrel spacers. You can either buy them and install them or just make some yourself. The next problem that we encountered was that after installing the Action Army hop-up unit, the magazines don't actually fit into the unit anymore. You can put them in and really try hard to, let me just show you that. This is the this is the HFC magazine first. I'll try installing that for you guys. And no matter how much you push down, it just will not clip into place anymore. We believe there is some misalignment with the hop-up unit. Okay, I'll try the Tokyo Marui magazine as well. Seems to try to clip in place better, but it's still no go. We did try, because this is the Tokyo Marui stock, we did try the HFC stock on here as well, but that was even worse. It literally couldn't even be pushed into place, and it was getting jammed and not feeding the BBs. Okay, so we're going to have to uninstall the Action Army hop-up chamber and put the original HFC unit back in. Okay, so we've just finished reinstalling the standard hop-up unit, the one that came with the HFC, back into the rifle, and the magazines now fit perfectly and fine. Okay, right, let's chrono the gun. Okay, we're now going to do a chrono test of the gun. The magazine we are using is the original HFC magazine with the same again Tokyo Marui 0.2 gram perfect hit BBs, and the spring installed now is an Action Army M130 spring. Here we go. 449. 449. And 452. That concludes the chrono test. And for those of you wondering if then the Action Army 14mm counterclockwise thread adapter designed for the Tokyo Marui VSR-11 Pro Sniper will fit onto the HFC VSR-11, the answer is yes, it does. It fits on there, no problems whatsoever. You just unthread the original barrel end cap, and it goes straight on, which is good news for you, those of you guys who like to use fake suppressors or silencers, or even the tracer units. Okay, so it's time for the final conclusion, and you know, to conclude on what we found out during the video, and that was the most upgrades designed for the Tokyo Marui VSR-10 does in fact fit into the HFC VSR-11. The one exception was the Action Army hop-up unit, which does not fit in. We believe this may be something to do with this block here, as when we actually tried to fit a completely standard Tokyo Marui hop-up chamber hop-up unit into this system, it also didn't fit due to this block. I believe it was something, it was machined differently, or there's a part in the way, but that's basically what we found out. Okay, but it's nothing to worry about. You know, if you do stay with the original hop-up unit, it is a direct clone of the Tokyo Marui, meaning if you wish to upgrade things like the hop-up rubber in a barrel, and also the hop-up adjusting arm, you can do so, as the original one is made of plastic. I believe there are aftermarket ones made of some kind of alloy or aluminum. Okay, so everything else does fit. You know, the Action Army cylinder fit with all the upgraded springs and the piston inside. Also, the trigger unit fit. The Action Army trigger unit basically fit in there with no problems. You know, the bedding pillar, everything went on no problem, so it was a direct fit. The only problem was, the only difference was this block here. Okay, right, so the what was the purpose of this video? The purpose was, a lot of people ask, you know, the opinions on the HFC VSR-11, what do you think of it? And we really had no opinion, you know, so we thought we'd get our hands on one and see if we could upgrade it and see what the outcome was. And obviously, some information about this platform is rather limited. Okay, you can go to a website and it would say this is a VSR-10 complete clone, meaning it will use the exact same you know, parts and everything, upgrade parts. Other websites, if you look closely, it says mostly compatible with VSR parts. Okay, so I guess maybe someone has done this before and found out exactly what parts fit and what don't. We wanted to try and clarify this, as we had the Action Army upgrade parts to hand, and we thought we'd get our hands on one of these and just try and see if they fit. Okay, so that's basically it. Okay, so I hope this helps someone out there, and I hope this helps people out there about their choice of whether to buy the HFC VSR-11. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.